Okay, yay, we're live. All right. Hello, everyone. So today, I'm a little bit low. Let's fix that. Today is all about the care and washing of socks. And so I want to talk to you about kind of general hand knit care, but then also specifically with socks. So if you haven't been here before, the important things you need to know are, my name is Kelly Slack. I am the co-owner of Black Sheep Fiber Emporium, and I was invited to kind of guest teach about socks by Heather of Pearly Shell Fiber Arts. So your segments are always sponsored by Black Sheep Fiber Emporium, Kelly Slack Designs, and Pearly Shell Fiber Arts. And you know, if you've enjoyed my sock series and what we have talked about, then feel free to go like and follow us on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, because we teach there. And okay, I teach there a lot. I don't know if I've said it before, but I actually teach try to teach something every Monday and Wednesday on Facebook through our Black Sheep Fiber Emporium Facebook page. And then I try to put all of those videos up on YouTube as well, so that if you miss it on Facebook, you can catch it on YouTube. So I do make an attempt. And today, let's see. Today I need to tell you that, I love socks. I really love socks. I've made over 100 pairs, so I've washed a lot of socks, and I've washed socks many times. The first time that I wash a pair of socks, I used to take my big pan, and I would put lukewarm, just out of the tap, water in it. And then I would use something like either Eucalyptus or a soak. I happen to like this one. This is the pineapple one. And I would let my sock soak, and then I would pull it out, and I would roll it up in a towel. And I would step on the towel, because that's how you can get some extra water out without agitating your socks, is you just step on it. And then I would hang it up to dry. And that works great if you're only doing like one pair of socks every so often. But the more socks you get, the more you are looking for kind of economical ways to wash your socks. And what I have found is I have a top-loading washing machine, and it does not have the center agitator, although I have used a top loader with an agitator, with no ill effects. And it didn't really matter if my socks were superwash or not. I would put them in my top loading washing machine, and I would still use a little dab of my soak or my Eucalyptus or whatever gentle wool wash you wanted. And I would wash my socks in the machine on delicate, and I would let them spin out, and then I would hang it. And that way, because I was going through, 3-4 pairs of socks a week, in the winter in Indiana when I was like knitting a ton of them, and that was the most economical way for me to make sure that all of my socks were getting clean, but I wasn't spending tons of time washing my socks, because nobody wants to spend a ton of time washing their clothes. I mean, that was why a washing machine was invented in the first place, right? So I still do that now. A lot of times when I finish a brand new pair of socks, what I do is I put all of my ends in, but I do not trim the ends. And this lovely hand spun shawl from a friend, thanks Shannon, also has not had the ends put in yet, because I need to do like a full blocking on it and put the ends in. You never put your ends in before the first wash. And the reason that you want to make sure, I shouldn't say that, you never trim your ends. You always put your ends in, but you never trim your ends. That's what I need to say, before your first wash. Your yarn and your fiber will shift a little bit, and you can leave like shorter tails on them if you want. Don't leave like really long 10 or 12 inch tails, but you can cut them down so there's, like a 2-inch tail. And wash your socks, and wash them in the manner that you want to. If you want to wash them, hand wash them in a bowl or in your sink with a dab of wool wash, totally fine, totally fine. If you prefer to do what I do and toss them in a washing machine on delicate with, and I always make sure that it's that like eco warm or colder. I don't want hot water going in on my socks. That's another important point. I talked about tap water like hot tap water, nothing warmer than hot tap water for your socks, because we don't want to felt your socks. Unless you intend to felt your socks, and if you're trying to felt your socks, you definitely need water that is a little hotter than your tap. But that's like my key thing right there. Is you have to decide which way you want to go. If you only have a few socks to wash, hand washing might be your best bet. Like I said, in a bowl or the sink with a dab of wool wash. You will want to rinse. So if you are doing it, I always recommend trying to make sure that you have 2 bowls that you start with, so that as one cools and you've used the soap in it, that you move your socks from one to the other, because you don't want to shock your socks and felt them. Because you do need to rinse your soap out. I know some of them say, like Eucalan, I don't always rinse out, because this one is a no need to rinse, but the soak I always rinse. I don't know, it's just something I do. I think that this one is also, is this one also, yeah, no need to rinse. But for some reason, I always worry more about the soak, so I always make sure that I rinse with that one. But again, if you are rinsing your items, you just need to make sure that it's coming in at the same or a slightly cooler temperature, because you just want to make sure that you don't shock it. You don't want to go from really high temperature to a really low temperature, because then you're going to felt your socks. A little bit of felting for a lot of socks, especially on the soles, is kind of inevitable. It will usually happen just from the friction of your feet. The better that you have knit your socks to match the shape of your foot, the less friction and less wear you are going to get, as well as the better your shoe fits your sock with your foot. The less friction, the less wear you're going to get. So that's something important to think about. If you have a lot of socks, you can do what I do and toss them in the washing machine, but again, make sure that it's on that like eco warm. You don't want really hot water going into your machine. I really think that you're better off with a top loader if you happen to have a front loader. It's not that you can't wash your socks that way. You definitely can. Just keep a little closer eye on them. It's a little bit harder to pull them out if you notice something happening. And always keep an eye on your machine the first couple of times that you use it. Every machine is a little bit different. Everyone's water is a little bit different. So the hardness, the pH of your water is a little bit different. Some people have more impurities in their water, and so they may be using a water softener to try to reduce that. So your water quality also has an effect on washing your hand knits. That's something that not a lot of people really think about, is that water varies from location to location, so you need to really think about that for yourself. It's always good to do some, wash your swatches. Wash your swatches, because if you ruin a swatch, oh well, you ruined a swatch. But if you ruin your project, it's a much worse thing, right? So wash your swatch, test it. Try it both in a hand knit or a hand wash situation, in a bowl, and then also try it in your machine and see which one gives you a better result. And it'll tell you a lot. It's always about testing and experimenting, right? We're testing our theories on how to make the best sock for our foot. It's also important to make sure that you test your water and try it out with different soaps. You may find that Eucalan is really not your thing. You might like Unicorn better. You might like the Soak better. You might like something that is more of a widely used commercial soap better. I've had really good luck with Method. I like Method. Free and Clear works really well. A lot of times I'll throw that in with my hang to dry items, and that seems to work really well for my wool socks too. So I don't have any issues tossing them in with the Method wash and going through, again, using my washing machine to do the work for me. But then I always take them out and I always hang my socks up to dry. You can lay them flat to dry if you have that kind of space. I don't, so I have, and I do have a ton of space, I just don't have the space to lay things to dry. So usually I hang them up on, I've got 2 little clothes drying racks, 2 little foldable clothes drying racks, and one is almost always set up drying something, but I put all of my delicates on a delicate cycle in the wash, including my hand knits, and then I usually hang them up to dry on my drying racks. The only exception is occasionally when I'm washing sweaters or something that's really, really heavy. If it's nice out, spring and fall are the best time to wash your hand knits, when it's hot but not too hot, and it's sunny, but it's not humid. And so a lot of times I'll bring them out on my deck. Yesterday was a great day to dry anything. It was super windy here. It was 87 degrees. There was like no humidity, and it was the perfect time to dry things. So I washed 10 skeins of hand spun yarn and threw them out on my deck to dry, and they were dry in like an hour and a half. I mean, it was just that fast. And I probably should have washed several of my sweaters and laid them on the deck to dry as well. Always inspect your socks for holes or for wear spots as often as you can. It doesn't have to be every time you wash your socks, but if you don't wear them too often, that might be a good idea. Just, you know, check the sole before you toss them in the wash pile. I only wear my socks once or twice before I wash them. I feel like my feet sweat quite a bit. It's a personal thing. I'm admitting a personal thing there. My feet sweat quite a bit. So I'm really uncomfortable wearing socks more than once or twice, depending on how many hours I've been in them. If I've been in them all day, then I'm washing those socks and I'm not wearing them again the next day. If I only put them on for a few hours one night, I might wear them again the next day. But that's a personal thing for me. It's that I feel that my socks are too dirty and too sweaty, and so I end up washing my socks more probably than a lot of people. But that's, again, totally up to you. So you need to know your body. You need to know how to measure your feet. You need to make sure that your socks fit your feet. You need to know a little something about your water, whether it's hard or soft, whether you have a lot of calcium, a lot of sulfur in your water, so that you can adjust for that. And then you need to know your machine if you're going to try using a washing machine, which is, again, why it's such a good idea to try a swatch. Try washing a swatch before you try washing a project in your machine. And again, I do both superwash and non-superwash items in there, in my machine, and I haven't really had an issue yet. Now, my husband very kindly did throw a newly knit sweater in the dryer, and that caused issues. But if you are only using your machine to essentially soak, gently wash, rinse, and then spin out excess water, then you're probably going to be fine. Just make sure that you are keeping an eye on your children or your significant other or your roommate, if you happen to live with somebody else, your mom, if you happen to be a younger knitter or an older knitter and you happen to live with your mom. Just make sure that everybody knows that you're doing a delicate cycle and that those items get hung to dry. They should not go in the dryer. That's an important point as well. Okay, well, I have one more video tomorrow to share with you, and I want to talk about socks in other ways, including Kat Bordy, who was, she's a really inspirational person for me. I've only knit a few pairs of socks with her methods, because I do have a hard time wrapping my head around it, but super inspirational. So I want to talk about ways to knit socks that aren't just a circular or in the round, toe up and top down tomorrow. So we'll finish out our sock series with that. And one more time, I do just want to say thanks for listening to me. If you have made it through 14 out of the 15 videos, wow. Thanks for hanging in there with me. And don't forget to go like us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And that's Black Sheep, Kelly Slack Designs, Pearly Shell Fiber. You can follow one or all of us, and you can check out some of the other things that we're doing. And I've really enjoyed sharing this sock journey with you, so I look forward to tomorrow and our last little video on socks. So I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, and have a great day. Take care of yourself. Keep crafting. Take care of yourself both, I should say, in all ways, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.